And here is an unusual brooch and corsage jewelry at the same time. The jewel is historical because once upon a time this string of complex gold patterns, interlacing curls and inflorescences of diamond drops belonged to Maria of Teck. The late Elizabeth sported a corsage quite infrequently. At the same time, she wore a voluminous brooch along with a diamond necklace. And it seemed as if one piece of jewelry was merging with the second. It was a continuation of each other. It looks unusual, you must agree. Elizabeth also had a gorgeous, mysterious necklace with magical emeralds. I am sure that the Queen's jewelry is completely hidden from prying eyes. We don't know much about it and can only guess. There are jewels that sparkle, and there are jewels that carry a heartbeat. Among the latter stands the legendary Daisy Tiara, a delicate masterpiece once worn by Queen Ingrid of Denmark, a woman remembered for her elegance, quiet strength, and impeccable sense of style. Born in Stockholm on October 14, 1910, Ingrid grew into a cultural icon whose grace shaped the Danish monarchy. This year would have marked her 115th birthday, and there is hardly a better way to honour her legacy than by recalling the extraordinary story of her most cherished jewel. The Daisy Tiara began its life not as a diadem at all, but as a turquoise bracelet, acquired in 1926 for Crown Princess Margaret of Sweden at the cost of roughly 900 Swedish krona, a respectable sum for the era. Designed as a garland of tiny daisies, each flower crafted with remarkable precision, the bracelet reflected the early 20th century fascination with naturalistic motifs in jewelry. Turquoise, a gemstone long associated with protection and serenity, added a gentle blue glow to the floral pattern, giving the piece both charm and character. After Margaret's death, young Ingrid inherited the bracelet and wore it publicly for the first time at the opening of the Swedish Parliament in 1928. Not long after, the jewel took on a new life, remodeled into a bandeau-style tiara, a form that was extremely fashionable among European royalty during the interwar years. Bandeaux were adored for their versatility. They could be worn low on the forehead, woven into elaborate hairstyles, or paired with other diadems to create layered, romantic silhouettes. The Daisy Tiara quickly became a symbol of royal kinship. In 1926, Ingrid lent it to her cousin, the future Crown Princess Märtha of Norway, for her wedding to Prince Leopold of Belgium, the first moment the jewel stepped beyond the walls of the Swedish royal palace. When Ingrid married the future King Frederick IX of Denmark in 1935, the tiara travelled with her, entering its new role as part of the Danish royal treasury. Though Ingrid herself wore it only occasionally, the tiara lived an exceptionally active life. It graced the head of her eldest daughter, Princess Margrethe, affectionately nicknamed Daisy, during state events and official portraits. She famously wore it in 1957 during the British state visit to Copenhagen, and again at a grand banquet hosted by the British Council in 1964. Over time, the tiara became woven into Denmark's modern royal identity, appearing at celebrations, diplomatic gatherings, and family milestones. The jewel was also lent to significant women outside the immediate royal family. In 1968, Swedish bride Madeleine Tengbom wore it on her wedding day, a gesture that highlighted the tiara's reputation as a lucky charm and a treasured bridal adornment. In the 1990s, as Ingrid's health began to fade, her granddaughter Princess Natalie von Sayn-Wittgenstein-Berleburg revived the tiara's visibility, wearing it for the silver wedding anniversary of Queen Margrethe II and Prince Henrik in 1992. Following Queen Ingrid's passing in 2000, the tiara was inherited by Queen Margrethe II, who, despite her deep sentiment toward the piece, rarely brought it out of its case. That changed in 2012, when Margrethe presented the tiara to her niece, Princess Theodora of Greece and Denmark, during the Ruby Jubilee celebrations. Since then, especially after the Queen's recent abdication, the Daisy Tiara has appeared at royal events with renewed frequency, delighting jewelry lovers across Europe. What makes this tiara so adored? Its understated elegance, its soft turquoise hues, and its nature-inspired design set it apart from the more opulent diamond diadems that often dominate royal collections. It embodies warmth rather than grandeur, a quality echoed in Ingrid's own persona. Today, as it continues to glitter at weddings, banquets, and national celebrations, the Daisy Tiara remains a living bridge between generations, carrying with it stories of love, duty, and heritage. And so the journey continues. The tiara that began as a simple bracelet nearly a century ago has become one of the most cherished symbols of the Danish royal family. Each woman who wears it adds her own chapter, ensuring that its history, much like its turquoise petals, never fades. Some heirlooms whisper stories, others shine so brightly that their history becomes impossible to ignore. Among the treasures of the Cavendish family, few pieces capture the imagination quite like the Devonshire Diamond Honeysuckle Tiara, a jewel that has accompanied generations of duchesses, witnessed royal ceremonies, and evolved with changing tastes, all while preserving the soul of the family that guarded it. Deborah Mitford, the youngest of the famously charismatic Mitford sisters and the 12th Duchess of Devonshire, adored the heritage she married into. Under her care, Chatsworth House became a beloved cultural landmark, and its jewels, including the legendary tiaras of the Cavendish lineage, stepped into the spotlight. Among them, the Honeysuckle Tiara stands out as a masterpiece of Victorian romanticism and aristocratic craftsmanship. Created around 1865, the tiara consists of 7 removable diamond honeysuckle motifs crafted in silver and gold, a signature combination of the 19th century, when silver was used to enhance a diamond's brilliance while gold provided structural strength. Each honeysuckle spray glitters with stones of various cuts, from cushion-shaped diamonds found in early Victorian pieces to later rose-cut accents. The jewel is remarkably adaptable. It can be worn as a classical tiara, reassembled as a necklace, styled as hair ornaments, or transformed into brooches. This versatility reflects the period's fascination with multi-purpose jewelry, a trend embraced across Europe's aristocratic circles. The tiara was commissioned for Lady Louisa Cavendish, daughter of the 7th Duke of Devonshire, as a wedding gift for her marriage to the Hon. Francis Egerton. Yet, despite its early creation, it remained largely unseen for decades. Its documented public debut came only around 1901, most likely worn by the future 9th Duchess of Devonshire during the royal visit of King Edward VII and Queen Alexandra to Chatsworth. A decade later, during the grand coronation events of King George V in 1911, the 9th Duchess served as Mistress of the Robes to Queen Mary. Though she wore the more formal diamond palmette tiara for the ceremony itself, the honeysuckle tiara accompanied her throughout the celebrations like a cherished talisman, paired with the iconic Devonshire diamond riviere and matching earrings. Some official portraits from 1916 even show her proudly wearing the honeysuckle tiara, a symbol of her status during her years as Vicereine of Canada. In this role, she creatively added the Devonshire diamond earrings between the honeysuckle motifs, giving the piece a bold, personalized twist. The tiara passed through generations with quiet dignity. The 10th Duchess of Devonshire, known for her impeccable style, wore it only sparingly, most notably during the French state visit of 1950 and the glamorous Gloriana coronation gala in 1953 at Covent Garden. In the early 1950s, shortly before moving permanently to Chatsworth, she was photographed by the legendary Norman Parkinson, wearing the honeysuckle tiara as a necklace, a striking example of mid-century aristocratic elegance. By the 1960s, the tiara had become a favorite family wedding jewel. The 11th Duchess wore it with a diamond riviere to the Dorchester Hotel in 1961, later styling it as a necklace at her daughter Emma Cavendish's wedding. In 1967, Amanda Heywood Lonsdale donned it for her marriage to Peregrine Cavendish, now the 12th Duke of Devonshire. Almost 3 decades later, in 1995, Lady Selina Cavendish continued the tradition at her own wedding. Even Deborah, the 12th Duchess herself, found new life in the tiara's design. At her diamond wedding anniversary celebration in 2001, she showcased 5 honeysuckle elements as brooches, a playful and heartfelt tribute to the piece's adaptability. The event brought together couples from across Derbyshire, also marking 60 years of marriage, a fitting setting for a jewel built on continuity and devotion. In recent years, the tiara has stepped out of the vault and into the public eye. Replicas of all 3 major Devonshire tiaras were displayed in the acclaimed 2017 exhibition House Style: 5 Centuries of Fashion at Chatsworth. Later, the diamond honeysuckle tiara was shown at Sotheby's in New York, and in 2023, it appeared alongside the diamond palmette tiara at the landmark exhibition Power and Image: Royal and Aristocratic Tiaras at Sotheby's, London, reaffirming its importance as a cultural and artistic masterpiece. A dazzling emblem of grandeur, the magnificent olive wreath tiara of Princess Marie Bonaparte. In every era, the world's finest jewelers have been treasured, not for the gold they shaped, but for the dreams they captured in metal and stone. Among these visionaries, the artisans of Cartier have long stood at the pinnacle. The creators of jewels meant not simply to adorn royalty, but to define them. One of their most extraordinary creations is a tiara, both poetic and powerful. The radiant olive wreath diadem crafted for Princess Marie Bonaparte. Princess Marie was no ordinary noblewoman. A descendant of Lucien Bonaparte, brother of Napoleon, she belonged to France's restored imperial line. On her mother's side, she inherited the immense fortune of Francois Blanc, the mastermind behind the Monte Carlo casino and one of Europe's great 19th century magnates. She grew up surrounded not only by wealth, but by symbolism, imperial iconography, Mediterranean heritage, and the echoes of the Napoleonic court. When she married Prince George of Greece and Denmark, son of King George I, she required a wedding jewel worthy of both dynasties. Cartier's answer was breathtaking. The tiara took the form of an olive wreath, a motif revered in ancient Greece as a symbol of peace, wisdom, and triumph. The wreath was sculpted in precious metal and densely pavé-set with diamonds, creating shimmering olive leaves that seemed almost alive with light. Scattered among them were 11 larger stones, representing olives, originally emeralds, chosen for their rich green hue. On occasion, Princess Marie replaced them with rubies, allowing the tiara to shift effortlessly from serene to dramatic. This interchangeability was highly innovative for its time and reflected Cartier's early 20th century fascination with transformable pieces. Yet the tiara's crowning glory was its central gem, a sumptuous pear-shaped diamond suspended like a drop of starlight between the branches. The diamond acted as both focal point and signature, echoing the grand Napoleonic diadems worn by women of the Bonaparte family during the height of the empire. Through this detail, the tiara became not merely a wedding ornament, but a deliberate homage, a bridge between French imperial heritage and the Greek royal house Marie entered through marriage. Later in life, the princess made a notable alteration. She replaced the pear diamond with a brilliant diamond star, referencing both the celestial motifs popular at the turn of the century and the starry tiaras favoured by European courts. Cartier's modular design allowed this transformation with remarkable ease, further proving the tiara's status as a jewel of both artistry and engineering. Princess Marie, elegant and striking in her personal style, wore the wreath throughout her life. But after her death in 1962, the tiara began its own quiet journey. About 3 decades later, the piece surfaced at auction, but without its interchangeable gems. The central diamond and star, as well as the emerald and ruby olives, were no longer part of the ensemble. Whether retained by the family or separated over time remains a mystery. In 1999, the tiara was acquired by the Albion Art Institute, an institution devoted to preserving historic jewelry of exceptional artistry. The new curators restored the tiara with a replacement pear-shaped diamond and returned the jewel to the world, where it has since been displayed in exhibitions across Europe, America, and Asia. Its delicate leaves and luminous stones continue to mesmerize every viewer, a living relic of imperial glamour and Mediterranean symbolism. Today, the olive wreath tiara stands not merely as a luxurious ornament, but as a remarkable intersection of cultures, dynasties, and eras. It embodies Greek mythology, French imperial pride, Cartier's technical brilliance, and Marie Bonaparte's personal legacy. To see it in person is to witness history forged in diamonds, a masterpiece that still breathes, gleams, and tells its story. Lady Rose Windsor and her radiant wedding tiara, a jewel linking generations. On a warm July day in 2008, Lady Rose Windsor, the Queen's elegant second cousin, walked down the aisle to marry businessman George Gilman. The ceremony took place in the intimate chapel of St. James's Palace, a venue steeped in royal tradition. Guests included members of Britain's most distinguished families, as well as well-known royals such as Princess Anne and Kate Middleton, who at the time had not yet joined the royal family but was already a familiar figure at high-profile events. And what is a royal wedding without heirloom jewels? Lady Rose's bridal look, understated yet luminous, showcased the power of family diamonds to turn simplicity into majesty. Led to the altar by her father, Prince Richard, Duke of Gloucester, first cousin to Queen Elizabeth II, Lady Rose captivated the guests the moment she stepped into the rose-adorned chapel. Her wedding gown was a study in quiet sophistication, a vintage-inspired, unembellished silhouette that allowed her jewelry to take center stage. And her choice of jewels told a story both personal and dynastic. To frame the neckline of her dress, Lady Rose wore 2 diamond clips once owned by her grandmother, Princess Alice, Duchess of Gloucester. These clips originally formed part of Princess Alice's emerald and diamond bandeau tiara, a wedding gift from her husband, Prince Henry. Over time, the tiara's detachable sections became cherished keepsakes shared among the Gloucester women. A beautiful example of how royal jewels evolve as they pass from one generation to the next. But the pièce de résistance of Lady Rose's ensemble was her tiara, a sparkling emblem of tradition worn by countless brides of the House of Windsor. For her wedding, she chose the historic ivy tiara, a piece rich in symbolism, craftsmanship, and family heritage. The ivy tiara first belonged to Queen Mary, the magpie of the British royal family, who was legendary for her love of jewels and her habit of redesigning them. The tiara was presented to Mary on her wedding day by Lord and Lady Eve, prominent members of the Guinness family. It was named after them, a subtle reminder of the aristocratic line that gifted it. Remarkably, unlike many of her other tiaras, Queen Mary never altered the ivy tiara. It remained exactly as it was given to her, a lyrical, leafy circlet of diamonds arranged in elegant ivy motifs, symbolizing fidelity and enduring affection. After Mary's passing, the tiara was inherited by her daughter-in-law Princess Alice, who wore it with grace throughout her life. Eventually it passed once more, this time to Birgitte, Duchess of Gloucester, mother of Lady Rose, and current custodian of many historic Gloucester jewels. For Lady Rose's wedding, the ivy tiara looked as though it had been waiting for this moment. Poised atop her simple veil, it added a flash of antique brilliance to her understated gown. The combination felt almost poetic. Ivy, a symbol of constancy, crowning a bride on the day she vowed lifelong devotion. Seen on Lady Rose, the tiara was more than an accessory. It was a living thread of royal history. From Queen Mary's glittering Edwardian court to Princess Alice's mid-century elegance, and finally to Lady Rose's modern celebration, the tiara has witnessed more than a century of family milestones. It is the kind of jewel that seems almost alive, carrying within its diamonds the echoes of ceremonies, laughter, and the quiet weight of legacy. Through this single tiara, one can trace an entire branch of the royal family tree. And as Lady Rose walked out of St. James's Palace on that summer day, sparkling beneath the ivy leaves of her diadem, she embodied the timeless magic of heirloom jewels, pieces that do more than decorate, they remember.